I'm here with Dadman. We're talking about armchair psychological analysis on Michael Myers, the Haddonfield Butcher. Why did he do it? We're either going to come up with dead on the money, why he did it, which I am very confident that we can kind of discover together because of our background in watching all the crime shows, reading that type of material. I mean, you read a book by the guy who Mindhunter's based off of, John Douglas, Mindhunter, the book Mindhunter, and I read some of that myself.
I read that?
I at least gave it to you, so if you didn't read it, it's kind of...
No, I read it. Yep. Yeah, it was good.
It's bad manners.
I'm sorry. I forget things.
Or you're going to be entertained by the humorous attempt at trying to uncover why Michael
I have
did what
one.
he did.
It's we're going to talk about many, but one that's real super simple and is somewhat true in this case and other cases. And as we go through discussing this, obviously I'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. I think I will have enough to contribute that we can cover the subject fairly well. So.
Yeah, well, let me just say first and foremost, I've done videos like this before. It's one of my favorite types of videos to do. That's why I dragged you into it.
Well, you didn't drag me into it. I was more willing to do it, obviously, but I don't. You do a deep dive perspective on subjects, and you're doing one on this one. But I think, I think you're going to have more to say. Well, you'll say, and I'll respond mostly. I only have so much to say about Michael Myers. I think, in a way, he's almost a blank slate. So, it's one thing about him, but there is obviously more to it than that. But,
well, buckle up, buckaroo, because I'm going to drag you to the depths of a schizophrenic brain. That being my own, not Michael Myers's.
Now, you don't know you're schizophrenic.
Yeah, he probably isn't. He kills Judith Myers in 1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois, at the ripe old age of 6. Judith being 17 years old. Okay? This is where the movie magic of it all begins. Because there definitely are child killers. I'm sure there's many documented cases of this being true. Repeat offenders, I don't know if that's actually something that's fairly common. Someone who kills young, it's probably
kills later when they're older.
Yeah. I mean, they're either institutionalized for their whole lives, or it's accidental, or, you know what I mean, just don't understand the consequences.
Yeah, well, child killers isn't real. I mean, it happens. It's not, I don't think it's very common. Like, what was he? You said he was 7? I can't remember that exactly. 6. Like a 6-year-old, like an actual murder type killing.
Especially as brutal as it was in the movie.
And with a knife. Now, with the gun, I think...
Accidental discharge.
Well, even intentional. But just there's a different psychology between killing with a knife and killing with a gun. Mm-hmm. Knife is way, way more personal. Okay? A gun is, a 6-year-old can hate and then 10 minutes later not hate. Mm-hmm. So if you catch them in the right mood with something as spontaneous as a gun, now we're talking about stuff that's exceedingly rare anyway, but I would think a knife killing is extraordinarily rare for a child killer.
And so we're going to dive deep into this, but prefacing it, and it's, this is kind of yucky talk, but when you talk about serial killers, this is the territory you kind of get into.
Yeah, the yuck.
The yuck
deep
zone.
The suck zone. It's the point, basically, at which the twister sucks you up.
So,
gory or graphic, I would have went with, but okay.
Motives for serial killers: revenge, money, or perverse. Okay? Like sexual.
Okay, well, here, can I give you mine? I don't want to grab them. There is a theme. Now you're young, so you weren't even alive when this movie came out. there was a theme with slasher movies, and this partially has it, is it involved the immorality of teenage unmarried sex.
Yes.
So in a lot of slasher movies, well this one, and then
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
no, the one at
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, both had this. In one case, they were watching a kid because they were having sex. This one, as you know, his
sister
is up in the bedroom with her boyfriend, and they have sex in literally like 15 seconds because he comes running down the stairs. Okay, gotta go. Bye. That's a theme in slasher movies. Mm-hmm. It's like they deserve it.
Right.
It really is. So and that was also in this. It may not have been intentional, but that's why I think he killed his sister. Not just because she was, maybe he loved his sister or whatever and didn't want that to happen, but her having sex was part of it.
Right. I'm 100% totally with you. On the retrospective video that I did, which everyone listening should check out, because if you're listening to this, you definitely like the series. I go through every single movie in the series, even the Rob Zombie films and the David Gordon Green films. All of the luster that there is to be had in the Halloween series is gone through in detail.
Every Halloween movie?
Yepers.
Wow. Okay.
And support the channel because we have a legitimate son and dad operation going here. Okay, you don't want to support the Jack Dohertys, who my dad doesn't even know who that is.
No, I don't like him though.
He's a reprehensible human being. Support.
I don't know who he is, and I hate him.
Support the small family business that is this channel.
Shop local, think global.
Thank you.
I don't know how that applies to us, but the local part.
Well, we could go global with enough people.
Yeah, we're pretty close, right? Yeah. All right.
So you're right on the money. But in researching the Halloween retrospective, looked at Carpenter and Deborah Hill, the two people who wrote the movie, and I mean that theme is super prevalent to anyone who watches the movie with a critical eye, right? Though they say that the sexual repression aspect or the the sexual liberation aspect of the prey or the victims, prey's probably, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wasn't intentional, to your point. You said it intentional or unintentional, but you watch through it, it had to be a subconscious thing for sure.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe that was just the circumstances was he's got to kill somebody. All right. He wants to make his movie. If a child that murders somebody, it's better if it's a family member.
Okay.
Instead of like the neighbor. Or maybe another child would have been horrific, or maybe even too horrific for that time.
But for her to be having sex for all of... so you're talking about the sister. But for the sister to be having sex and then the victims, all minus the mechanic, if you remember, it's a very small scene that the mechanic is another victim of Michael Myers in the first film, who is just basically means to an end. For him to get from asylum to Haddonfield.
Yeah.
There's no sexual whatever.
Is that the one he dumps by the side of the road?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And that's where he gets the overhauls.
Exactly. All the victims were committing sexual acts or were promiscuous, minus our lone survivor, Laurie Strode.
Yep. Did you... I wanted to mention something else, and it's like so obvious, but is he the first really popular killer to wear a mask? And the mask is, I gotta tell, well, speaking of Michael Myers, you think about that.
Well, Leatherface.
Yeah, okay, good point. Although that was for a different reason, though. That was more functional because his face, I think, was
That's why Jason wore a mask.
Because of terrible face.
He was disfigured. I mean, you have to look from a meta level, like why did.
But anyway, those three are all in a way like cousins. You know what I
very
mean?
similar territory of,
Yeah.
of character.
In the time frame, very similar and so forth. And they all had masks, and that was a new era. Sorry. Hey, by the way, I just kind of a little note here. Do you know how much the actor Michael Myers was paid per day to play that character in that movie?
For the first one?
Yeah.
1,000?
$25 a day.
Whoa.
The whole movie was made for $325,000.
I did see that because I went over the financial aspect of it in the retrospective, and it made over 200 times that in the box office.
Yeah, it was killer. But I read 15 cool things about it, and they'll come up as we, I'm not going to list them out, but ones that are pretty cool actually.
It's gonna make the viewers work for it. You gotta stay to the end.
To drag it out of me. No, but I never, when I watched Halloween, I watched it when it first came out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's a good horror movie. I liked it. Everybody liked it. You saw it. I didn't realize they made it. I mean, it was a glorified student film. Very young people who did it. Even, Carpenter was 30 years old. He got $10,000 for everything he did on that movie, which is write and direct. I don't know about if he was a producer or not, but I mean, he did the score for the movie in 3 days, and the score is classic.
Yeah, up there with Tubular Bells, maybe even.
Well, he was inspired by that. Yeah.
Ooh. I did not know that.
Well, he said, in reading, he said he was, which Tubular Bells to me, what I feel about The Exorcist, I love that score. That was crazy good. And so he did that, that weird piano thing, and but it was so good. It's like one of the best
instantly
scores.
Recognizable,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
huge.
Yes, and it built
suspense.
Yeah. It did. It was just, that was if you paid like a master person at scoring movies to do that. He did it in 3 days.
Something I said when I first watched it, and I would write reviews on this site called Letterboxd. It's kind of like a personal journal, but other people can see it. Social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if he's a better director or composer, but he killed it in both aspects on this,
Yeah.
But so to your point, he had made 2 films prior to this. The first one was semi-universally panned until after he kind of...
Dark Star?
I think so, yeah.
One was, I think, Dark Star.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's
very weird from what I heard.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, and I think it is, it's kind of, these guys, there's like these 2 guys, and I think they just like use a laser to blow up meteorites that are in the way of like space travel.
Hard to do on a small budget.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but the guys weren't serious at all. It was like you got Beavis and Butthead, at the age of 21 and 23, and gave them a spaceship and said, "You guys got to clear the." Okay, and they're listening.
We're in big trouble if you don't do this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he had made Assault on Precinct. Can't fucking talk.
Precinct 13.
Assault on Precinct 13, and that is what inspired the studio to.
Green
light. We have this idea, or we want to give you this basis of an idea, and then you write
an idea. I think they said write it. From what I read, and
I don't know if there was a. Well, him and Deborah Hill wrote it.
Did she do other stuff with him?
She's just she's
like
a
behind the
snazzy
scenes
lady. Kinda. She has that kind of New York attitude, but isn't from there. She wears shades indoors. I don't know. All I know is she did the movie.
Wow, she's cool.
Yeah. She wrote the movie with him. That's all I know about her.
But everybody knows Rob.
I don't know if she wasn't married to him, but they were either good friends or dated, or they had some relationship. And
Yeah.
Clearly it worked.
Working relationship, at least.
Yeah. Anywho, so that was another small budget film, and it's the themes that follow from that film are that, as far as what he's capable of as a director, is he can show this small town has gone from normal suburb. Anyone can relate if you live in a suburb.
Yeah.
And it's just gone completely out of control. And if you look at it from 1,000-yard or 50,000-yard view, that's what this is. Just the mechanism that delivers that destruction is a person. And another thing, I don't think they said this was a theme that we were going for, but I think you can see it, is to bring mayhem to kind of a smaller area, a suburb specifically with Haddonfield. It brings the fear to your neighborhood.
Yeah. It's Anytown USA.
Exactly.
It could be anywhere.
And that's a big deal. And today...
That's why Illinois, because middle of the country,
most people can't spell Illinois.
yeah. No, but I mean, you think of like Anytown USA. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be in like
L.A.
L.A. Yeah, it's not going to be like the Bronx. It's going to be somewhere in the middle of the country. Basic values, innocent, and what did Dr. Loomis say? Something about something has come to Haddonfield.
Evil?
Yeah, evil has come to Haddonfield.
Yeah, because...
And that's what it was. Evil had come to a small, can come to Anytown, USA.
And if you want to look at it, Dr. Loomis is like, in a way, the narrator of the film.
Yeah.
And Myers is, their representation of evil. You have to look at the abstract of that, and then we're going to kind of work our way to the flesh and blood of it. Okay, so evil can't die. That's why at the end of the film, he doesn't die.
That's a good, that's a good, I like that.
Evil is the tarnishing of something pure. That's what works in The Exorcist. That's what works with Halloween. You take a small town, like you said, middle America, the salt of the earth, make the big gears go by doing their little part. They move to have a safer neighborhood or upbringing for their children, and yet...
It follows them.
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
It's inescapable, exactly.
Well, evil is an element of nature. No different than like wind or fire. It's part of the human condition.
Yeah.
So you can't escape it.
It's innate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why it's put, again, this violent urge or these violent tendencies into a 6-year-old, because a 6-year-old is about, if, unless you want to go any younger, it's literally probably the youngest you could even begin to imagine someone...
Physically do it.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old, with a knife is dangerous, but he's not going to kill you.
Right.
He might slash you a few times, but then you'll kick him in the face and it's over.
Yeah.
So...
I do know from experience that is what happens.
People get kicked in the face?
Well, 4-year-olds specifically.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It happened. We don't talk about it.
He was 4 foot tall. It was a midget. He was trying to hump my leg. I felt awkward.
Had to die.
Yeah.
Can't let that story get out. Or there goes your reputation. But yeah, but he represents, I guess, innocence. I don't know. Even in innocence, evil can lurk.
Yeah, you're born with... So, maybe just the verbiage of this I need help kind of ironing out. But like how it's innate, you are born with the capability of evil.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. And even at a very, very young age, because obviously a 45-year-old guy is capable of evil. It happens all the time. Yeah. 6-year-olds not so much,
Mm-hmm.
But So I wonder if they ever like tried to figure out like what type of mental illness you would assign. I mean, I'm not saying because it's actually happened, because it didn't, but a lot of times they could take characters and say, okay, this guy had blah 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 blah.
Psychoanalyze them.
Right, because they did it with No Country for Old Men, Javier Bardem, whatever.
Bardem.
Yeah.
Javier Bardem.
But they said he was the best depiction of, I think, a psychopath. They said he was, because you have psychopaths in so many different movies. They said his was like the best depiction of it, and
right.
Sold me. I'll tell you that. When he was strangling that guy,
yeah,
the look on his face was not normal.
I always get sociopath and psychopath confused, and I think the majority of America does.
Sociopath, well, psychopath is like, in my understanding, an advanced There's a lot of sociopaths. Mm-hmm. What they do, they just have a diminished sense of
empathy?
guilt, and empathy. Okay, so a lot of politicians are sociopaths. All right, maybe mm-hmm. not seriously one. There's a continuum, so you can be slightly sociopathic, mm-hmm. and you get so sociopathic, it becomes more psychotic or a psychopath. Psychopathic.
Jinx.
Yeah, and they have no empathy.
Well, Michael would fall into that territory.
Right, no empathy or no sense of guilt, diminished sense of responsibility for their actions, other things too. But, they're not terribly functional people. Sociopaths can be extremely functional people. And sometimes successful, especially, mm-hmm. in like their careers and so forth.
And this is really off topic. I'll bounce back, but just a little tidbit. Apparently, autistic people, and I would imagine sociopathic people, they have something called masking, where they're perceptive enough to understand what
they're supposed to act like, and they act that way, even though they don't feel that way. That's
exactly.
Correct. I know that about sociopathic. I didn't know that about people on the spectrum. But here's the deal: like through not selective breeding, but through breeding. So if sociopathic people are more successful, mm-hmm. that therefore their genes will be passed on mm-hmm. more so.
Right.
So, like in the future, we may have a tendency to become, as a race, more sociopathic, less empathy.
Empathetic.
So I don't think that's true, though, because we're not in the animal kingdom, where if I have too much empathy, I'll still breed. Mm-hmm. Those genes will be passed on. Now, in the animal kingdom, people with less desirable genes don't mate. Mm-hmm. They die off easier. So that's natural selection.
Here's one. Okay, so
we
I guess
really got off of.
No, this is what
field.
we're going for.
Okay.
This is what we're going for, but we're gonna get more pointed. No, this is perfect.
You know what they should have done? Michael Myers. Well, okay, he should have raped the girl, and the girl kept the son, but the baby and him be a son. If you want to continue, or you want an offshoot, a nice angle on Halloween, that could have been one.
Yeah, that could have been good. So there was this is Halloween 5, I want to say, and then I'll get back to, but there was a niece, and they were going to they were saying Michael was cursed, and this is not the plot line that we're going to psychoanalyze for the reasoning, right? This was written, retconned later on. He has a niece or whatever, who was pregnant, had the Myers genes, and it was a curse was the explanation for why Michael was the way he was. And they were going to pass the curse on to him because in Gaelic or Celtic mythology, you can mark one person in your community to take all the bad luck or
of the
bad
community.
Exactly. And Michael was that for his generation, and then the new Myers
would have been the other one.
Exactly. It was a shitty movie, really bad. If that's your favorite Halloween movie,
Sorry.
exactly.
I mean, it probably wasn't as cool as it kind of sounds. I don't know if it sounds that cool, but it's interesting anyway. But, so they always have to drum up some...
It's so not what Halloween is, because what we're going to get to, the meat and potatoes of what drives a man like Michael Myers, is interesting. And the unknown of it and having to scratch and claw your way to find the motivation, what's going on, why would he do this, is interesting. Madness is, while sometimes... What's the word?
Maddening.
I wanted
Simple.
to... It's almost like when someone writes and you can't read it.
Illegible?
Illegible. Madness can be illegible,
Yeah.
but trying to decipher it,
Yeah.
to me, is very...
Well, it's fascinating, yeah.
Exactly.
See, that's why, and like, I'm all along with you on this whole thing. I see it way simpler than you do. I mean...
I don't know if you're giving it enough credit.
Well, I see it, and I'll get it from talking to you. Like, he's an element. It's like explaining fire, okay? It just is.
But things like
He's a
him
killer.
exist.
I know.
And they have motivations.
I think extreme madness is a motivation in and of itself. Now, there's reasons why maybe you're like that. In his case, he was born that way.
Well, that's...
Unless he was abused, like, really badly.
That's the allure, or I guess the case for true evil. Like, he is true evil. But, and that's something to explore in humanity, is the nature versus nurture, where some of these kids just straight up fucked from the word go. Where, was it a combination of the two, which is probably the majority of cases, or is it just, this is a purely normal brain, and they were abused to hell, and voila, you have yourself a serial murderer. Now, before I pass the ball to you, just to kind of give you one of the real world comparisons that's maybe the most spot on comparison that there ever could be. You know him, I know him. It's big old bumblebutt Edmund Kemper. Now, murders his grandparent, both actually, at the age of 15. Now, it's not quite 6, but we're
pretty young.
We're in a movie, you know.
Yeah.
Gets institutionalized, comes out at, like in his early 20s, like Michael Myers, who got out at 21, and then starts butchering co-eds that his mother taught as she worked at a university.
Right.
He had a very, very bad relationship with his mother, which we can't explore it in Halloween 1978, and it's the opposite in the Rob Zombie remake, but that one's the less interesting to...
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole interpretation that's not relevant to Halloween, the Halloween.
Exactly.
Michael Myers from there. Yes.
Yeah, we're interpreting the classic, and we might reference some of the films that come after, but specifically this is the one that I want to dig into the most. And then Kemper starts butchering these co-eds as a part of a sexual awakening, because in his words, he had been in whatever, institutionalized during maybe the most important years of your life.
Those formative sexual years.
Exactly.
And so then at that point, he didn't even know how to So, I mean, plus he was like a giant, which was off-putting.
Which is Michael. He's not as giant as Kemper, but he's definitely menacing and intimidating, what do you call it? His build or his frame.
Stature.
Yeah, stature.
Yeah, so, but he had a good point, and, Kemper was right, and plus... he didn't have a male role model. I don't know what happened to his father. Mm-hmm. His mother despised him. Mm-hmm. And, right, she did. You work at a university. She always, went on about, how wonderful these female, students were and so forth. She was at least emotionally abusive to him. But
he
there was something. He was
eventually-
born with something, but he
Right.
just had a greater tendency. I mean, I don't think everybody would come out of that type of upbringing the same way. Mm-hmm. Most would not. They would, despise their mother probably, but they wouldn't necessarily have chopped her head off. And he did that, chopped her head off and buried it in the backyard.
After doing interesting things to it.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's right, he did do. But anyway, he didn't like her at all.
So he built up to her through his victims. It was almost as though it was
maybe, yeah.
kind of like
Was she the
dress
last victim?
rehearsal. Exactly. And he
She
ended
was.
up giving himself up very shortly after her, and I don't think that's...
He used to go to the bar and talk to the cops all the time.
Yeah, and it was a cop bar. I forget what it was called. It was a cop bar-y
Right,
name,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
It was like something to do with a courtroom. Something in a courtroom. And that's what the bar was named after. And the cops
Yeah.
would go there all the time.
And he'd love to talk to him.
Yeah,
And
which
they
is...
kind of liked him, too.
Yeah. That is the vast difference, obviously, is that Michael Myers doesn't speak. And it adds to his mystique, as well as murdering so young. Because the things that I ascribe to him matching with Edmund Kemper are perplexing to ascribe to such a young killer. I think it solidifies after he comes out. I think there's a sexual pretense to his murders. Now,
Yeah.
One of the-
I don't, but we don't know why.
okay, so
obviously Lori was a sister. And they
we're
don't...
gonna... I think we look at it both ways. As though she is and as though she's not.
But she is, though. We didn't know that.
They retcon that in the most recent trilogy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I think
you
it's
like that
stupid.
word retcon, huh? You like that?
I don't know what other word to use.
I'm not a... That just means like to destroy or get rid of, right?
Yeah, it's like it's...
What's it stand for?
I think it's Colonel Sanders' word for...
No, it's not.
Retinal Cornelius.
Boy, I'm glad I asked you.
And that's his son's name. He was actually gonna name KFC after him.
No, it wasn't. You make stuff up. And, it does damage to people because they believe you. They tell their friends, and their friends think they're idiots. So maybe we'd be a
Can't
little
blame
more
me.
responsible
Can't blame
with
me for that.
our complete lack of seriousness. But, yeah, I've heard retcon. And it's a cool word, though, right? Retcon?
Yeah.
I think there's words that I use, and I think a lot of people do, that
Or just your own kind of...
No, you use them because you think
catchphrases.
they're like kind of make you sound knowledgeable or cool or like an insider. And retcon's one of those kind of words.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I'm trying to think.
apparently genre is one of those words I've been told, I think
Yeah,
by you,
'cause-
that you're like, no one says that. And I was like, I wasn't trying to act like an academic by saying that. I don't know what other word. You're talking genre of film. I guess
Well,
you could say
you're right.
type
There
of
isn't.
film.
Yeah, you could say type, but I mean genre is like, and plus it's like sounds French.
Yeah. It does sound French, and I don't think it is.
It may not be.
It might be German.
You don't have any idea.
Oeuvre. That's a good word, but I think I'm pronouncing it incorrectly.
I think you are. I've never heard of that.
Homage.
Homage. Yeah, I think that is French.
Oeuvre. Do you know what
don't
word
know.
I'm trying to think?
No,
it's
I
like
don't.
it's
You're
like
saying
an
it so well.
essence. Oeuvre.
I think I've seen it spelled, but I don't know.
Ouvra.
Is there an apostrophe in there?
Possibly.
Ouvre, I think.
Maybe.
All right. So you go ahead and talk. I got to grab my phone because if I don't have that, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, he's like a
I'm
teenage girl.
stupid.
If he misses the text from his boyfriend, he's gonna be in some trouble. No disrespect to the gay community, but one thing I will say is I am of a staunch belief that there is a sexual component to it, though I'm open to the discussion with you as to, but
It's very vague. I mean, I think there is, but it is intentionally vague. But who knows? Listen,
I don't want to go for vagalities, another word we can look up. Me
For
and you.
what? Say that word again.
Vagality. Vagaries. Maybe that's the actual word.
Okay. Okay.
Me and you are cracking this case.
Yeah, right now.
Even if it's not cracked. Okay? I don't need a I don't know from you. You know what I need from you? I need you to
You're talking to me right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care if it's the stupidest thing ever. I just want you to say it and be confident about it. Say, you know what? Yeah. Maybe Michael Myers, maybe I think it wasn't sexual when he was 6, though I will give some evidence.
No, it could be. I don't care. It could be.
Yeah.
He could physically be in love with his sister, even
That's how I
to a
feel.
sexual degree.
I think it's love.
His concept of
Love. Yeah.
Well, maybe
yeah.
it is
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I think he loves her so much, and that he saw that she liked someone else.
And really liked them.
Yeah, it's
Fast, though. I'm sorry. I see that movie. And they're doing it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, the panning that they did, there's some new way of doing it that I read, that it was still camera, but it wasn't jerky. There was no movement. It was completely smooth. It was supposed to be a big deal, never done before that, I guess. But he's literally up there for like 15 seconds.
Well, I thought,
I mean, it's like, hey, look, I don't last forever, but I'm better than that,
I thought that Mike came at the tail end of it.
But it seemed in real time, though. He was at the end of it, but it was in real time. It seemed they didn't make you feel any, passage of time that was not shown. This is like real time. We're looking through Michael Myers' beady little eyes.
And that's a big thing. You experience as an audience member. This is another key proponent of my argument for the sexual aspect. You're looking through lustful eyes.
These eyes cry every night for you. These arms.
You are literally looking through the eyes of the murderer, and what I think logically you have to say inspires the murder. Yes or yes?
Should these people go to jail for their old tweets? Yes or yes?
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Au revoir. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna play this, and I want you to tell me what you think it means again.
And put the bottom of the phone right there when you play it.
Ouvre.
So ouvre. Okay, tell me what it means, because I know you're saying it. I'm using the wrong word.
It's your oeuvre.
All right,
pronouncing that right?
Close enough.
It's the atmosphere I bring in this room just by being here. It's
Your
kind
presence.
Yes.
No, that's not what it means.
What the fuck
It's
does
the
it mean?
word.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. You said so bullshit.
Don't get angry at the word. You just
What
got
does it
wrong.
mean, then?
It's a work of art. It's like an oeuvre is my song that I wrote. It's a produced work from an artist.
Maybe my oeuvre is my presence.
I think you maybe mean you did say essence. So I think you really mean the word essence.
Shit.
Yeah, I hope you haven't been using this the wrong way.
I don't pull
You
out
always wonder why
words like that.
people look at you weird, and now you think because it's the words you use.
A lot of the times I do have trouble communicating exactly what I want to communicate.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
Like I have a thought in my head, and I know exactly what I mean, but I can't put the words to it.
I know. I get that too. I do really love words, but I'm forgetting the cooler ones that I know. I love when I can pull out a cool word,
Well, I just
'Cause
like
a lot of
when
people
I
think
can.
I'm stupid, and I often come off that way, but I'll pull out a cool word, and I'm like, maybe he's not,
Very true.
I'm a swell guy. I'm a nice enough guy. I'm a cool kind of guy. I'm a pretty groovy guy.
Like oxymoron. I was thinking of that today.
Like a jumbo shrimp.
Oh, you know. Okay, so you know what it means. All right. Anyway.
What if not lust at the beginning, or possession maybe of his sister? He wants.
What's a type of love? What
What else would it be? What else could it be?
Well, it could be, like I said, that he does not approve of, even in his 6-year-old little 6-year-old morality, thinks what she's doing is wrong, really wrong. Although I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I will run with you because that tracks up until Jamie Lee Curtis, though. Laurie Strode. Why go after her? Why is she the chestnut?
At that time, he's different.
But it still tracks, if that were to be the case.
You mean, okay, so why isn't that continue to be his motivation?
Because she is by far the most pure. I mean, she has interest in boys, but she's not pursuing boys. She's the most...
We don't know that. She could be pretending. She could be a slut.
I've met
Right?
girls like that.
Yeah. Well, she probably isn't. But, I mean, he has been an institution for 15 years, okay? So he went from really, really crazy to really, 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 really crazy. You know what I mean?
But that's not the point of an institution.
I know.
It's kind of like
the point is to get him the hell out of civil society, because it's like, what do we do with them? Okay, it's like, well, let's let him out so he can rehabilitate. No, he's nuts. He kills people. What do you want us to do with him? You keep him there forever.
Keep him in a cement box.
Yes.
For all of time until he's dead.
So, like crime, they say, oh, you want to rehabilitate. And a lot of times it's like, no, I'm kind of just pissed off this guy, robbed my store. I want vengeance.
Restitution.
Well, that's not restitution.
Punishment.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I will say I think societally we might be better off if there was some rehabilitative elements of the criminal justice system.
Well, there's parts of it, but to be
honest,
honest,
it just seems like we're terrible at that.
It's super expensive.
We have private prisons. That's why it's not rehabilitative. It's because it pays more to have more crime and more criminals in prison.
No. You're wrong.
We have... What did Eisenhower say about the war machine?
The military-industrial complex.
We have that going today.
Yeah.
Which is why we're fighting people, or had been fighting people in the Middle East, which are... I don't know if I should say this, but... Well, okay, I'm cutting...
No, you can't.
I'm cutting that out.
You have to cut out the last half hour and up till now.
Like Michael Myers, bringing it back to the point, I think there's an easy thing to point the finger at, but I think there's underlying motivations. In life,
yeah,
revenge, money, sex. And there might be another one. But so there's different types of serial killers, okay? So there's the Zodiac. For him, it was notoriety. It was fame.
Yeah.
But I think maybe fame in and of itself can be a core driver for people, but I think it can sometimes be a means to an end. Okay? It's very tough to see if there was any sexual motivation for the Zodiac because he crossed genders many times. This the first linked killing, the one in the car with the pen flashlight, there's a boyfriend there. So is he just collateral damage? But then the Zodiac kills a taxi driver purely for notoriety. Okay, Myers, obviously, you never see him read a newspaper. You never see him watch the television. Notoriety is very far out of his reaches, but this is just to give breath to what...
He's not a serial killer, by the way.
Who, the Zodiac?
No, Michael Myers. Well, I guess he is.
I think by definition...
He's a rampage killer.
You'd have to give it to him, and they actually stopped using that type of...
Rampage?
Not rampage. Well, by proxy, because rampage is a type of not mass murderer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mass murder. Spree killer. They don't use spree killer anymore.
Why? That was my favorite.
Just because it was so ill-defined and it just confused police officers. There was no benefit. It was just confusing. He is, because it does take place all in one location, but across many years because he's institutionalized. Now, is he just picking back up where he left off? And if so, I think we have to look at it slightly different because the psychopathy of a serial killer is different than what would have been called a spree killer or a rampage murderer. Because those are kind of, in some ways, closer to school assaulters.
Shooters.
Them, it's, from what the media tells you, and my limited understanding, although I would say I'm an armchair expert on it. Notoriety,
Absolutely.
Revenge. Those are the two that I think people most strongly understand.
Yeah.
Is you were maybe embarrassed at that school. You look at the negative memories that you hold there. Let's take Sandy Hook, for example. I think that specific person, and I forget what his name is, but he was very, very autistic.
Adam something, I think.
Yes, I'll put him up. Though he deserves no... Maybe I won't put him up. Whatever, that fucking loser goes to a elementary school. I think it's power for him. I think...
Yeah, because he felt powerless probably at school. Because he was dysfunctional.
And he goes to, instead of a high school where his pencil
Years.
neck fucking geek little neck, his stack of dimes for a neck would have got demolished. Even with a handgun. Someone would have been like, that skinny fuck, I'll just charge him.
Wasn't he? I mean, he was.
I thought he went into the school. There were 2 killers who shot on a hilltop down at a school, but
That wasn't him.
I don't believe it was him. From my understanding, I thought he went into a classroom.
Okay, maybe you might be right. I don't remember a lot. I mean, I felt really bad about Sandy Hook to the point where I didn't even want to know anything about it.
Right. Then you have another mass shooter, the Colorado Aurora. That I think is notoriety. I think there's a reason you do it at the premiere of a movie. You dress like the Joker. You're playing a part in this film that you want to be the main character of.
Yeah. I mean,
that doesn't track with Michael. Maybe it is a revenge in that Michael, maybe it was accidental that he killed his sister, or maybe he wanted...
What? Wait, whoa.
Go ahead.
What do you mean accidental?
Accidental from a standpoint in that
he just wanted to cut her into pieces but not kill her?
He didn't realize the ramifications of what he was doing.
Okay.
He thought, this is a temporary act, and then in 15 minutes...
She'll stop bleeding?
And she'll be okay. Because you don't understand death. I even think...
Sixth graders understand it a little bit.
He's 6 years old. He's not...
6 years old.
He's not in 6th grade.
Knives.
I actually am going to kind of challenge you a little bit on this.
I knew.
What do you remember about being 6, though?
Knives were like super dangerous.
But what... That's you're ascribing that now. I don't know if you realize the danger
I knew
of
that.
knives.
I knew sharp things were dangerous.
Dude, 6 years old is kindergarten.
I was a really smart kindergartner.
I think, in child psychology, you don't realize the finality of death until a certain age. And I believe it's after 10. Or could be after 10, but it's definitely after 6.
But you understand the concept of death.
Very vaguely, like the way that you understand the concept.
Well, then why aren't there more 6-year-olds killing people?
I just don't. You generally have violent impulses that young, for whatever reason. I that's worth.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just think you're wrong. There's a difference.
This is a through line that I do want to explore, though.
Okay.
I think he did feel jilted, and that maybe that's his sister, like that's his person.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that, yeah.
You could
and
look
somebody else came in and took her away.
Took his place.
Yeah, she liked him more than her. No, but there's those possessive feelings in kids, and if one is really unbalanced, like him, they might do something like that. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen often, but that's the case here. So it was sexual, love, whatever, familial. It's like, hey, she's mine. Mm-hmm. Who's this limp dick, banging my sister
Pussy.
in 15 seconds and running out.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
And something like, not to be gross, but it's not supposed to be gross at all, because this, I think, is a true thing that the majority of people, whether they remember or not, you develop that kind of relationship. If you're a girl, you have it with your dad. It's not platonic.
Oedipus.
Well, there is the Oedipus complex, which I was going to say, and I think you can prescribe.
That's mother and
son and mother.
Yeah, and there's one for daughter and father.
There is. But so that goes to the sexual element, the idealization of a mother. But I even think everyone, or the majority of people, you have a relationship with your mom if you're a boy and your dad if you're a girl.
You remember that when you were a little boy and you loved your mom and you thought she was the cool. You remember when you were gay? You remember when you were just a gay little boy? Every little boy is just their mom's gay best friend. There's literally zero difference.
Where it's like they're your person, and there can actually be some jealousy with the same-sex parent at a specific time in life.
Yeah.
And there's no, like 99% of the time, there's no sexual element to it. It's just like you love them and you feel like, kind of like what we're saying Michael feels. And there can be anger at that other person, but sometimes you can take it out on the one that you feel you have the special relationship with. So it would be your mother if you're a boy, but maybe with him, we can assume maybe his parents aren't active in his life. Maybe they're gone a lot, whether it's work or functions or friends, whatever. It's the 70s. It was a happening time.
They were swingers.
I did hear that rumor.
I don't know about that.
That could be
called the Electra complex, which is not the opposite, but is the flip side of the Oedipus complex.
And it's named after that actress, Electra. Yeah. What's her name?
Carmen Electra.
Carmen Electra. That's pretty
It
cool.
was discovered by
Pamela Anderson.
Prince. Not even close.
Oh.
Yeah. She was good looking for a long time.
And then she got hepatitis C. And if there's one thing you should learn from this podcast, and it's coming in before we even hit the hour.
Don't get.
Exactly.
Did she look really bad afterwards?
Don't share needles. I don't know about Carmen. I know Pamela Anderson is not doing well.
You brought up a whole different person.
Well, I guessed Pamela Anderson.
Okay. Well, it doesn't mean you should.
I don't know if Carmen Electra has Hep C. I don't think she does. Pamela
just because
does.
they were mentioned in the same sentence, yeah, I wouldn't say that's probably true.
It's very infectious.
Yeah. You are a crazy nut.
So, okay. So we're gonna go to the through line of that was his motivation for the sister. Then he develops these feelings of anger that are linked towards the community that put him away for 15 years. He's so pissed off.
That's true.
That
I never thought of that, but obviously she wasn't happy.
He's so pissed that they took something to him that felt righteous, or again, he didn't realize the ramifications, and they're going to lock him away for the whole remainder of his life, into his adulthood. If they're keeping you until you're 21, they're probably not going to let you go. They're not letting you go, basically.
I don't know.
When he's 40, man.
No, but he's
no end in sight.
There's child crimes, and then there's adult crimes.
But they generally, you get let go when you turn into an adult. If you're, I think, I actually don't, I don't know. I mean, I had brushes with the law as a youngster, but never like...
Never killed your sister.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have one. Oh, that's suspicious.
Would have been risky.
Glad that didn't happen. We had enough problems with you.
I think that is legitimate, in that for whatever reason, obviously I think the archetype of his victim is, can you fill in for what my sister looks like? That to me is something clear.
Oh yeah,
it's either
that's all serial killers like that. And
Ted Bundy being a very, very scary
a lot of them were,
example of that.
Like, what's his name? Was it Zodiac? I don't know what he didn't like. I think he just liked it. I think it was just notoriety. He liked to kill people. He liked to do little codexes type things and have people try to figure them out.
Oh, ciphers.
Yeah,
I think. Well,
I think it's a cipher.
Not to get too far off the train tracks here, but from what I've seen, because they think they've cracked who it was, and it is actually the guy who the Jake Gyllenhaal character in Zodiac thought it was, Paul Allen something.
Well, there's a thing on Netflix now
about him
Yeah.
being the Zodiac. So get this. He's a school teacher, gets fired for
killing kids for murder.
So he was a P. Diddy, kind of, before P. Diddy. Well, I don't know.
Relations, inappropriate relations,
sexual relations with those children. He did it, allegedly. Anywho, gets fired. I mean, that fucks your life up. I think we can both agree, to be so
didn't help.
Unceremoniously let go for one of the worst things you can be accused of.
I mean, it didn't help his standing in the community, I'm sure, but things were different then. They would just say that's something they could have kept under wraps for a long time,
but they didn't. They fired him.
But nobody knows why. They can say, "Oh, he quit." You know what I mean? And nobody's like, "Well, it's not in the papers." And
the reason, I don't know. I think in the community, people were like, "Holy fuck! Like this guy, he did it." You know what I mean? Like the parents were aware, which is gonna fuck you up.
I gotta finish watching. I started to watch that, and
I haven't finished it.
I mean, he was such an odd dude. I mean, you see, like there's pictures of him and stuff, and kids used to go places with him all the time, all over the place.
Right.
And we almost looked like a smaller version of Edmund Kemper. He really did. I mean, he looked autistic and creepy.
Well, that's just like what a normal dude looks like.
No,
average dude.
No. I mean, you could tell either he was sinister or stupid, but there was something about the way, when you took a picture of the guy, it wasn't right. He didn't look like he knew how to smile.
Like his shades or his shadow had horns coming out of the head.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, I'm telling you, if you watch the Netflix thing, I'm not promoting it or anything. I'm saying that's probably the story about him now that they know it was him. You look at this dude. It's like,
it's not officially confirmed. It's just family members saying, look, we have this anecdotal evidence that points to it being him. But hear me out on this through line, and I think it makes sense, it is revenge on society. The society that spat him out as a teacher, a job maybe he felt like he was born to do and was never going to be able to do again. Now he's working in a fucking factory because he's got everything he went to school for he can't do anymore.
Yeah.
His record is marred out of control. He's balling out of control. Can't do it anymore. Now he's working in a factory and he hates everyone and everything, and he hates what is maybe the most, I don't know, not innocent, but it's like to see love take root. It's like
He wasn't married, was he?
No. It's like the passing of it. I'm trying to find the words for it, but like young couples, they, in some ways you can look at it as like that's the future. Like they could go on to get married and have kids, and that's the next generation.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah.
And he would destroy that. And then it became I am on this global, or this statewide level that became global, and I'm spitting in the face of society. Like he was able to make that into his motivation through calling them and then sending that first cipher. And that's why he kills a taxi driver, because it fits the same motivation in but the mechanism to get there is different. Because if there's no sexual, it can't be sexual unless he is bisexual, because he's killing a male taxi driver. It's completely different.
Well, he didn't rape anybody.
They achieve sexual gratification from the act of murdering.
Oh, okay. That's like arson. Some arson.
I wouldn't know, but yes.
I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying it's true.
We had an arsonist in our small town.
Really?
I'm not going to name him, but yeah,
he wasn't a bad guy other than the arson.
He was a firefighter too, which is also kind of common.
Yeah. Fires are awesome though. I mean, I don't want to.
Some of them are nuisance fire starters. A lot of, like, if you see fires in abandoned buildings, that's what it is. It's just they're nuisance fire starters. Like, they just want to disrupt, cause chaos.
Yeah. Oh, so they're like anarchists, whatever.
But it's not politically affiliated. It's just like almost like little kids. They like to just be annoying to be annoying.
Okay.
It's like that, but on a grander scale. And I don't think you can prescribe that or ascribe that to Michael Myers. I don't think that factors in at all. Correct. Even though he's trying to get back at the town, if you look at it through this second lens.
Okay, it's just pure revenge. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he wants to kill. Mm-hmm. And he wants to kill in Haddonfield.
And that is it tracks in that, like the Zodiac, he's going after couples, Myers, and even the single girl who seems like someone who would be a good adult if they, weren't killed by him. It's like he's taking out the
next layer of...
Yeah, he's destroying the fabric of the society of that town.
Well, I mean, he would have kept killing.
Where would he go next? That's maybe the most...
Probably just girls.
The next town over. Well, yeah, females were the target. Yeah. Clearly.
I think men, well, he wasn't too happy with men either. All right, did you know, the actress name is P.J. Souls. She's the one who said totally all the time in the movie.
I wouldn't know. Oh, in
Halloween. Yeah.
Is that the one who's drinking beers with her boyfriend before she gets killed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Her boyfriend was Dennis Quaid.
In real life?
In real life, and he was going to be her boyfriend in that movie. But he had other...
That would have been a cool cameo.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Bacon's in the first Friday the 13th. And Johnny Depp is in the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I knew Johnny Depp. I didn't know Kevin Bacon was in the thing. There's parts of that movie where, I know that was a low budget movie too, but where the cinematography was just real bad. Looks like somebody took it with a cell phone. It was raining, and you see stuff in the, not distance, but outside of a car, and what are they? I don't know what that is. What they're showing. But,
Yeah, Friday the 13th, even at its best, is like a B level companion to the slashers that created the genre in America.
Well, the true slasher movie was low budget. Halloween was like an elevated, in my opinion, slasher movie. They built suspense with music. Said it was a slow burn, which it was. It wasn't just set up scene after scene of people getting murdered,
My understanding of this, and I know I'm right about the Italian influence. So Italian cinema had made these, now I'm starting to get... Okay, so just hear me out. So you could go even further back into American cinema.
To Shakespeare?
No, there's a movie that came out, I think actually the same year or the year before Psycho. It's a movie by Michael Powell. It's called Peeping Tom. And I think it's cited as the first movie to give you the perspective of the killer. Okay, then,
So the camera's hits the killer's eyes.
not throughout it all, but
Part
in
of it.
scenes, yes.
Because it's in Friday the 13th, or Halloween it is for a while,
Yeah,
as young Michael Myers.
exactly.
And then he puts a mask on, and they have the thing through the mask, which is pretty good, because I don't think that could look weird, like he couldn't like see it well, but you did.
Right.
Like when he had the mask on when he was killing his sister.
Then you get Psycho, and those could be considered the slash, like the godfather, the grandfather of the slasher
Well, obviously,
genre.
yeah, you can't say Psycho, definitely slasher.
But then you also have Giallo movies, and I want to say they might have even started
think-
before Psycho. And
They're probably- there have
definitely
to be influences.
from 60s to the 70s,
No.
and then you get Texas Chainsaw, and then you get Halloween.
An inspiration for Carpenter was Hitchcock.
I
And
think anyone who
the girl
works
who
in
was the girl
horror-
in Psycho, because I think it was I think I read.
I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Yeah, and Tony Curtis, which I know you probably don't know very well, but I know was a well-known actor. That's her.
Any
father.
films you would know that he's in? I've
I
heard the
really
name, but I don't know if I've seen him or
can't
not.
think of any. I mean, he was really, very, pretty well known back, probably 60s. So
I mean, I watch 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s movies.
was in. Can't think of anything.
Oh, was he in that movie? I think it's called Here's Tony. Or, no, Where's Tony?
That's a commercial.
Gotcha.
That's Tony Tiger. So no, that's not him.
Oh, it's grape soda. That's Tony the Tiger. Anywho, I do want to say, do you have
Yes.
any other theories you would want to throw out there, maybe try to flesh out, or between the two we did come up with, which I think are most realistic, what would you guess or stick with? Put your hat on, hang your hat up on.
Some Like It Hot, I think, was this big deal for Tony Curtis.
I've seen that.
You have?
It's really good.
He's in it.
Yeah, they dress up like, I think...
Women?
Yeah, at the very end. Yeah, they dress up like women, and one of them likes Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe's
I think
in
she's
that.
in it, yeah, too. Yeah.
It's a great film. And
Jack Lemmon.
the director who...
Yes, you're right. Wow. They're trying to escape the mob. Marilyn Monroe's in it.
And look at who the director is, because I really like that director. And I can't freaking remember his name right now.
Jimmy the Nose Bologna.
Should be wherever you're looking. Said it.
Billy Wilder, he's pretty famous.
Very. I think he's really good. I've seen Sunset Boulevard by him. I've seen, I want to say 5, 6, maybe 7 films from him. And Sunset Boulevard is amazing. And then there's another film, Ace in the Hole, which has... it's the guy from Spartacus. The lead of Spartacus.
I was going to say Tony. Kirk Douglas.
Yes. Kirk Douglas is in it. Great performance from Kirk Douglas there.
So what you asked me a question, and I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, to wrap things up, of our two theories, which one do you lean towards, or do you have a third that maybe makes a little bit of sense that we could explore?
My opinion is that he killed her for a combination of she was doing something wrong and he felt something towards her beyond like a normal brother-sister thing. So he killed her out of anger, and then he went back to the town to kill people like the sister that he killed and to also take revenge on the town.
I think
so. You have to kill the boyfriends too, even though, I mean, that, he didn't kill the boyfriend in the first one. He's physically able to when he comes back.
Now, yeah.
He didn't kill anything. He picked up a gravestone. It probably weighed like 200 pounds and put it in a bed.
Yeah. I think as far as checking all the boxes, I think you're right. And I think, so just quickly, the first kill, which actually I think for most serial killers isn't the most important. And I'm going to cite the TV series Mindhunter because I do think all of the interviews are factually based.
Get better. I know that. As the first one can a lot of times be sloppy because they kind of improve in their lethality or, their procedures and stuff.
Right.
I think what I've kind of understand is like those kind of people that they kill and they live that memory for a period of time, and then it wears off and they need that feeling again, so they have to kill again.
Let's say that the man standing underneath the first lamppost is me when I've just committed a murder. I feel strong and content. I start to walk, and the shadow in front of me grows bigger, like my pleasure. But at the same time, pain is on its way, represented by the shadow behind me from the next lamppost. And at the midpoint between the lampposts, the pain is so great, it outweighs my pleasure. And with every step forward, pleasure dissolves, and pain intensifies behind me. Finally, the pain is so unbearably intense that I have to act. So when I reach the point with the next lamp in zenith, I will kill again.
Mm-hmm. So there's many, many, many different ways to look at it. And as far as first kills, I do think it's important to kind of examine. And I think the way I'm going to explain it, it's kind of going to be like a leading question. I think I might lead you towards the answer, but that's okay. One of the guys in Mindhunter, the show, he described it like a sneeze. So there was a prostitute. He didn't know she was a prostitute, thought it was just a consensual encounter. And he got pissed because she was a prostitute. And he had just been kind of scorned by his girlfriend. And he saw this promiscuity, like, very high promiscuity because she's, professional.
Right.
As something that angered him deeply. And in it like a sneeze. He just started physically, dominating her and drowning her and just physically until she ceased to exist. Then you have a person like, and I think it's all the similarities is a lot of times the first time, unless it's someone who meticulously plans it, like a BTK, kind of like a nerd of the game, sort of like a, what's the word, like a film, like
aficionado?
Like someone who watches, like a professional football player who watches a lot of film.
Okay, student of the game.
Exactly. He was a student of the game.
Yeah,
okay.
He was.
He would fucking stalk their whole lives. Yeah. And even he messed up the first time. John Wayne Gacy, his first kill was accidental. He thought the first victim who was bringing him breakfast was trying to rob him and kill him with a knife. So he takes the knife, stabs the guy with it, and realizes...
This ain't bad.
Yeah. He liked something about it.
He was all messed up.
Well, I'm not going to dispute that or debate that fact, but...
he wasn't even a very good clown.
It's kind of why I'm look, you see through Mike's perspective that it's deliberate, the motion. He does it multiple times. And it could have awakened something in him that he likes it. Why? Or what's that?
But he went up there... What do you think he went up there for? With, like, a huge knife.
Because he's pissed at his sister for replacing him.
Okay, hide her shoes.
I really think you're overestimating
the
understanding of what kids... I don't think you fully grasp life and death at 6 years old.
Do you do?
Now I do. At 6, I don't think I did. I honestly can't even remember being 6 years old. You're barely fucking conscious. You maybe been conscious for 3 years. You just don't remember
it. It doesn't mean you were walking around like...
I was sentient. I know that.
Sentient.
Sentient.
Say?
There's no C.
Sentient. It's sentient. That's how it's said.
There's no C in that word.
I'm not saying a C. I'm saying a T.
The way you're pronouncing it sounds like sentient.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to say anywho because that apparently is your...
my catchphrase.
Didn't I have to apologize for something for the last thing?
Oh, yes, you do. It's for...
I apologize. Done.
Seth Green.
Yeah, okay. He's a weird-looking, annoying kid who maybe...
He might be older than you.
All right, well, he's still 4'8", okay? So if I saw him, I would consider him
It doesn't give you the right to bully people.
I'm not bullying him.
It sounds like you're cyberbullying right now.
Okay. Well, if I ever saw him, I would bully him, but I haven't, and I won't.
If this gets back to him, it's going to make him cry, probably.
Well, too bad. Although, Robot Chicken, oh my God, that thing was so funny. I just saw one.
Thank you, Seth Green, for Robot Chicken.
Yeah, honestly, thank you for that. That it is funny.
Just
They
say
did
you
this thing where,
apologize.
shut up. Like it was Predator, but they were like talking to them, like in Survivor, will talk to them, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's time to get a little one-on-one action with the guy.
I did have the sound on, unfortunately. I have to watch it again with the sound on. Like, what a great idea! I mean, it was hilarious. You know, they're talking to the predators. You know, and it's like, well, you know, I was going to kill him, and then I don't know. I can't remember the whole thing. It was funny, even with the sound off. But so yeah, sorry, Seth. Sorry. I mean, you can't act, but you can do good animated comedy.
Well, he writes the sketches. He's the creator of the
He can't
show.
act, okay? Can we agree to that?
I've only seen him in the Austin Powers series, so I can't say whether he can act or not.
He was pretty funny in that. The one time he was talking and Michael Myers is getting annoyed with him and is getting ready to hit a button that makes him like, what?
Drop into shark-infested water.
His girlfriend, whomever, is like, no. And she like slaps his hand or something like that. That part, you have to watch that part. It's super funny.
It's a funny. I should watch the series again. But yeah, so I think psychologically our analysis is kind of match up.
Yeah, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think people should be happy about this one, quite frankly.
They better be.
Oh, and you wanted to apologize for the Jake Gyllenhaal take.
No, one apology. That's it. Per episode.
It's
in my contract.
You should say he's good in Prisoners. Unless you rewatched it.
Yes and no. Like I said, I gave that explanation. I shouldn't have to explain again. That, in a way, I mean, you can look that maybe damaged to the point where he's just super weird. Why does he button his top button? What's that about? That is so weird.
I used to do that.
No, you didn't.
I did.
And you weren't a cop.
I was a cholo.
Okay, yeah, when you were like 10, I think you thought you were gangster or something. You used to wear gloves all the time.
You didn't come banging on my block, or I'd pop a cap in your ass.
Yeah. With like an airsoft gun.
Yeah, they used to call me the hefty lefty, but I was a righty.
Yeah, that's weird. I tell you what, the 40, what was the Desert Eagle airsoft gun hurt bad.
45 maybe, 45 Magnum.
Well, it's 45 Magnum Desert Eagle. It was a replica of the Desert Eagle.
I don't know guns.
That's the most powerful mass-produced handgun. I think that's Israeli, of all things.
Well, they invest a lot in their military.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah. Iron Dome.
Why do they have to now?
I don't know. You said some things earlier. I didn't say anything. People have attacked them.
Well, that's cut out.
Rockets raining down on
That's
Israel.
cut out.
Maybe that's
by
why.
now. I will have edited that out.
I don't know where they came from, but someone sent rockets at them. It doesn't obviously like them.
So how did you like doing something like this? We'll end.
I mean, I'm talking about anything. I don't care. I mean, I liked it. I like lists better because I like them because I move around from subject to subject.
Yeah.
I'm a creative genius in that way, like Robin Williams. Stream of consciousness kind of person. So I like that better.
I understand. I get it.
But no, this is cool.
With this, it's like you build off each other.
The only thing is, yeah, you do and all that, and I agree with you. But sometimes you can like Sigmund Freud once said, sometimes a cigar is such
just a cigar.
Yeah.
There's
what
no
he meant by that,
hidden
there's no
meaning.
hidden meaning. There's no symbolism. It's just
Which is funny because Sigmund Freud would definitely agree with our interpretations between the sexual attraction between a brother and...
Well, that was his thing. He thought everything had a sexual element to it. That was his thing.
It's just ironic that he would be the one to say sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Well, I mean, that was saying, in spite of what I say,
right?
Sometimes a cigar, it's not symbolic as like a penis.
Mm-hmm.
It's just just a cigar.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
I get that, and some people have that mentality. I just like...
I know.
It's just like spitballing. It's just like...
You like symbolism.
I don't know if it's quite symbolism with it.
Well,
I mean,
why can't you just agree with me?
But you're taking scenes and you're trying to actually put real life psychology or what someone could think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
just grounding the character, and that's why I like the first one, because it is very grounded. Despite him surviving the bullet wounds at the end, that could happen. It's a gun that has serious stopping power. A gun isn't always going to kill you. Same way being
sometimes
stabbed.
a gun is just a gun, and
you could survive. So
you could. 50 Cent got shot like 9 times, and he's still alive.
He did it in the freaking face.
I didn't know he got shot in the face.
I think all of them were in the face. Potentially.
No, they weren't.
Some of them
don't
were.
Say potentially.
Some of them were. Could have all been in the face. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, you just make things up.
I wasn't there. He got shot in the face. And that's why, you ever notice he does talk kind of different? That's because he got shot in the jaw.
Okay. Well, I think maybe he probably got shot in the jaw once, not 9 times.
Could have been all 8.
No.
Could have been.
His entire head would be lead if that were the case. All metal.
Small caliber rounds. I don't know, man. You do the math.
Those are the killers. 22, they say, is the real killer because if
you shoot yourself in the head.
No, well, anything will kill you then.
Because then it just it bounces around in your
brain. You don't know anything.
A 22. Wrong. Look this up, everybody. I saw a video on it.
Ricochets, but it's got nothing to do with shooting yourself in the head. I could shoot you and it's kill you.
How close am I and how accurate are you?
I don't. It doesn't matter. It could be from 1,000 feet away.
Also, bullets do more damage the further away they are, or if there's resistance to make the bullet go slower. So the exit wound, it punches out
a larger
portion of someone. Anywho, I hope you all learned something. You should have subscribed by now. If you didn't, you're disappointing Dad Man, which you're probably not used to. Or
I'm not going to be alive forever.
You probably are used to disappointing your dad. So subscribe now.
So don't disappoint somebody else's dad. How's that?
Exactly. And we will catch you on the flippity flip. Go ahead. What's your catchphrase?
Seacrest out.
There you go.